I'm sad to report that I lost a couple of friends recently. Oh, like, not to COVID or anything. I meant I lost a friendship, which is still sad. And this was really due to poor communication. Losing friends is a part of life, and I understand that people grow apart and we lose communication over the years because we enter into different phases of our lives. People are in our lives for a reason or a season, and this is okay. But in these two cases, it ended abruptly with an explosive disagreement. And being that I'm the common denominator, I had to do some serious self-reflection to see what my contribution was and how maybe I could have averted this bitter ending. What I noticed was that there was a lot of talking, but neither side was fully listening. We were hearing the words and maybe even hearing for the sake of mining for ammunition to use to support our arguments, but we weren't calm enough or open enough to hear what was actually being said so that we could understand or respect each other. Listening requires respect, openness, curiosity, and reservation of judgment. When we actually listen, we're genuinely curious to understand why the other person might have those opinions. In my case, one of my now regrettably ex-friends essentially ended our friendship with, "I just can't understand how you can think like that." And yeah, there's no way that two people from completely different backgrounds in completely different bodies can agree perfectly on anything. And if we were to surround ourselves with people who were just like us, life would be kind of boring. So you might be thinking, okay, well, yeah, but what about so-and-so? We're like two peas in a pod. We agree on everything. I think you just don't know them well enough. I bet if you went down a list of issues and explored all your viewpoints, inevitably you will find something to disagree on that you didn't know about the other person. And maybe then you can't believe how they can think like this. It's okay not to understand, but it's not okay to disrespect and not accept the other person. Recently, I'm noticing this larger trend of people getting easily offended and canceling each other out. There's this new cancel culture going on where you cancel public figures because of what they've done or said. And I think that's valid. I think it started with the Me Too movement. And yeah, it has its merits. There were horrible things that were done. But what I'm noticing is that we've moved from public figures to canceling friends and family, especially around politics. And it's true that our sentiments are more divisive and polarized than ever before. It turns out it's a real thing. I just watched this documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma, where these executives from social media companies are revealing that they're manipulating information and they're feeding it to us based on our preferences and ever so slightly nudging us more and more to the extreme version of what we started with. They also acknowledge that there's civil unrest in democratic nations around the world because of their contribution to polarizing our realities, so that soon enough we don't have common ground or any basis on reality, any hard truths. Everything is opinionated versions of something else. And so soon enough, we're sitting over here and there's no way we can even fathom what this alternate viewpoint might be. So it's no surprise that we have no tolerance anymore for alternate views, much less take the time to actually listen. So in my personal life, I try to practice my ability to listen recently by going on a run with a friend who I knew had a very different viewpoint than me and explore this. This was an opportunity to practice the skill of listening. And for me to stay respectful, open, curious, and above all, reserve judgment. It wasn't my goal to change his opinion on anything. And so I withheld mine and just kept my ears open. I simply wanted to understand. When was the last time I changed someone's opinion by insisting on mine anyway? I think it worked out for the most part because I didn't have that agenda, and above all, because I approached it with a genuine humility to listen. I suppose what I think about it is irrelevant. I really should ask him for feedback because that's also another opportunity for listening. So I encourage you to watch that documentary, The Social Dilemma, and keep in mind that your truth is likely curated and manipulated. And then, above all, to stay open to truly listening to others. Thank you for listening.